I personally think that Durin is going to be a very future-proof pull. Let's talk about it. My name is Juice, and let's get into it. I think when you look at the current Notcry roster, he is likely to be the most future-proof character out of basically all of the Notcry characters that have released thus far. And do I think that's going to continue going into the future? If Columbina ends up being a really specific unit that's only really good for Moonglare characters, then yes, then I do actually think that Durin is likely to be the most future-proof unit that is gonna come out of Notcry on the whole for basically any account. Now obviously it's going to depend, and I can't really speak on Columbina right now because we don't have anything on her, but I'm just making a prediction that if the only unit who potentially could be more future-proof than him, because, well, the Archon equivalent, isn't more future-proof than him, then I don't think that any other unit within this region is going to be. Durin is just kinda that guy. Not only is he an off-field pyro sub-DPS of high damage, and that just kind of says everything. That's the thing with these videos. I feel like I can just say, Durin is an off-field pyro sub-DPS with high damage and pyro application, and that kind of answers basically any question as to whether he's going to be good or not. It's just obvious that that is good, because we've seen how good that is. Yeah, he's obviously gonna be future-proof. Is Xiangling still good? Is Moeka still good? I'm specifically talking about Moeka sub-DPS here, but you get the point. It's obvious that that's going to be future-proof, because Xiangling was good for all this time. Before Moeka came out, we literally did not have an alternative to Xiangling that was anywhere near as good as her, and she was at the top of the meta because of it for a very, very long time. Durin is just a case where it's obvious that he's going to be future-proof. Like, no matter what circumstance you're pulling him in, he is just going to be good for a very long time. Same way how Moeka is likely to be good on your account for a very long time, because she's also a very good pyro sub DPS. I mean, she also happens to be the best DPS in the game if you happen to have her best install team, but you get the point. And you know what's funny? I've just been focusing on this one factor of his value as to how he's going to be future-proof for the past couple of minutes, right? I've mostly just been talking about this whole pyro sub DPS thing and emphasizing how important that is, because it is really important. Even if you're not playing him in Hex and Circle teams, this aspect of him, what whoever's did to him, has made him a character that is basically always going to be useful. Anywhere where you're going to want pyro application, you're going to be able to use Durin, and because his damage is pretty good, he's going to be able to offer more than just pyro application. So yeah, he is going to be pretty busted in that regard. However, I'm not even talking about the fact that he is obviously being made in advance for future characters. So he's not only future-proof because, well, his kit in of itself is just fantastic. On release, even though his dedicated units will not be out yet, he is still just going to have a really good kit in general. The characters that he is being designed for are not even out yet. So not only is he future-proof in this aspect, the whole overall account value aspect, which is incredible, because it means that basically anybody that likes Durin can invest into him and get a lot out of him, or if just somebody needs a character like him in terms of kit, they can get him, and he's going to fit the bill more than just fine. However, Varka is not even out yet. It is highly likely that Varka is most likely going to use Durin and Venti as a part of his best installed team. Durin being a good support for DPS Venti is just the beginning of it, and because we know that DPS Venti actually ended up being a pretty strong and competent team, let's just wait and see what Varka's gonna end up doing, my guy. Now, I will add, DPS Venti isn't necessarily breaking the mold. It is good, it is very good in fact, and I would say that it is about as good as Arlecchino and her best install team, damage-wise, and he is likely to be better than Arla in heavy AoE scenarios. So all around, Venti is indeed a very strong main DPS character, and I'm very happy with what Hoyoverse managed to do to him. However, he is definitely not the end point for Animo DPSs. Their future is still definitely bright. If Varka ends up being an Animo DPS, well then that's only going to bolster Durin's value even more. And this is me saying now that if you're interested in Varka, I would seriously consider pulling for Durin. There's a big reason why I'm shilling Durin this much, by the way. He's literally S tier. You know, like Shilonen tier, Lady Farina tier, that type of thing. That's why I'm really trying to emphasize how good this character is, because he is sitting among some of the greats in terms of value. He is just kind of that guy. I think it's kind of crazy that they're releasing a character like this before what is assumed to be the Archon's release patch. I mean, think about last time. Last time we had Chaska before Moeka. Chaska's not a bad character, not by any means. In fact, I feel like I've gotten a lot of use out of her on my particular account. Her exploration felt very good, and all around her teams were unique. However, she wasn't exactly the monstrous beast that Moeka ended up being. Something else relevant is that they didn't exactly make a support. They made a main DPS. One that is very good, yes, but still skippable, right? So because of that, it was easy enough to pass on Chaska, but with Durin here, they were like, yeah, let's make a busted S-tier support that literally sits among the greats in terms of value, is likely to be good for an extremely long time, is going to be getting a value boost with Varka's release, who is likely to become the new strongest Anemo DPS, and this is all very nice and wholesome to do before Columbina comes out. Because think about it like this, Moeka released in 0.3, it's likely that Columbina is going to release in 0.3, they used to do their Archons in 0.2, but it seems like that they pushed them ahead by a patch. And I know Columbina is not necessarily an Archon, but that's just semantics. And although when I say Archon, I'm talking about an Archon equivalent. She is basically the main focus character of this region. Anyways, we all know how Lady Farina ended up dominating the meta for ages. We all know how Shilonen is a very, very strong character even to this day. We all know how Kazuha was ridiculously good for a very long time. In fact, he was a must-pull borderline for years. We know how crazy the S-tier character cast is. We know how long they last. So to say that Durin wouldn't be future-proof would basically be a joke. He very much is going to be, because we know what the S-tier cast is like. They are ridiculous. They are insanely powerful. They last for a very long time, and to be honest, even when they start to fall off, they never truly do. Kazuha might not be as good as Shilonen, but he is still very much a usable character. So consider, Durin is literally going to be sitting among some of the greats. He is going to be an S tier. I really wasn't expecting them to turn this particular character into such a strong powerhouse and such a valuable pull for basically anyone, but here we are. Durin is actually just kind of that guy. He is genuinely just kind of that guy. I'm emphasizing it because I'm being serious, and like I said, I have good reason for shilling him. An S-tier character, my guy. You know how this goes. The S-tier characters of Genshin end up being integral pulls to accounts. They end up really helping you out in the long run. And here's the thing, if you currently don't really have a use for Durin, well, first of all, you can skip him, that's perfectly fine. You don't need him right now if you genuinely don't have a use for him. Same case as Lady Farina is obviously an S-tier character, but if you've mostly invested into Moonglare units, then she's not going to have as much use for you. But either way, fair enough if you don't really need the Pyro application. There are plenty of teams these days that don't require that, like Skirk teams or Flynn's teams and such. But the nice thing of Durin is that the moment that you do need off-field Pyro sub DPS, well, he is going to be right there, and he's going to be an extremely strong option for you to choose. And trust me, there will come a day where you're going to need that. However, if you are genuinely not in need of what Durin offers right now, you can easily skip him. And I will also add that if you're not interested in Varka, or you're not interested in DPS Venti, and you just generally don't really care about the Hexen Circle buffs, which, by the way, you don't need Durin to activate the Hexen Circle buffs, you can just put 2 of the other Hexen Circle characters together, but if you don't care about Durin's specific combos that he's able to form, then once again, you can skip him. Just like any S-tier character in Genshin, you can skip them under particular circumstances, and if you really don't need them for how your account is structured right now, that's fine. Especially because Nordcry has such a particular meta structure where it seems like every DPS that's coming out has one other support that they really want in order to reach their maximum performance. So generally, it would make sense if this particular character would not really fit onto your account at the minute, and all of his insane effective versatility just wouldn't really help you that much right now. Fair enough. However, this is the nice thing. He's basically always going to be relevant, and anytime he has rerun banners, you can just ask yourself the question again of, do you want what Durin offers? And if he does, well then he's going to be an excellent pull for you at the time. Durin is S tier. I really need to emphasize that. He's not Moeka, but he's still S tier. He's really freaking good. So, honestly, anytime that you're gonna need what he offers, or you're gonna want what he offers, or anything like that, he's gonna be genuinely one of your best bets. I say one of because I will add, if you do already have Moeka, then the need for him is definitely a lot less because you already have a very powerful Pyro sub DPS. But if you're interested in Varka specifically, well then Durin becomes worth it again. So if you do have Moeka, then fine, you don't really need Durin. And I will add that Durin can also be a main DPS in Overload teams and in Mona teams, or using Mona as a support, I should say. However, I will add that Moeka is obviously going to be a stronger main DPS than him there. But either way, those are unique teams that you can indeed play. I'm just not focusing on those so much because his future-proofness mostly comes from his sub-DPS playstyle, but yes, he is also able to be a main DPS, which just goes to show that even if you don't really have any sub-DPS use cases for him right now, you can still pick him up if you just want to have the S-tier character on your account and use him as a main DPS in the meantime and have a pretty decent pyro DPS, to be honest. So all around, yes, he is future-proof. He's S-tier. I feel like that kind of answers it. It's just, goodness, it's such a no-brainer with this character. He is so strong. He is so good to have on an account. He's really, really good. Obviously, there's going to be particular circumstances in which you're not going to want him, and I will make a video on that. However, for now, know that for the majority of people that play this game, this is a good character to get. Hopefully this video is able to tell you whether Durin is future-proof or not. This has been Juice, signing out. And if you told me that the freaking event creature from the Scaramouche summer event was going to end up being an S-tier pyro sub-DPS, I don't even know what I would have told you. Like, this reality, man. This reality is crazy. This timeline is crazy, but I'm loving it.